Okay, we're live. Meeting's yours, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the special board meeting of May 26, 2021 at 6 p.m. This is an electronic meeting. This meeting will be held electronically as authorized under the Open Meetings Act, Public Act of 267 of 1976 as amended. Members of the public body and members of the public may participate electronically as posted throughout the township and our website. Thank you very much. I will call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock, and I would like everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We seem to have had a technical problem. We will have Mr. Clerk, it was kicked off momentarily. We just had some work done around the township today, and I'm not certain if that was the result. Okay, so I will conduct roll call. Andrea Voorhees?
Yes, present, White Lake, Michigan.
Mike Roman?
Here, White Lake, Michigan.
Liz Smith?
Here, White Lake.
Mike Powell?
Here, White Lake Township, Michigan.
Anthony Noble?
Here, White Lake, Michigan. It kicked me off. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Scott Ruggles? Absent. And Supervisor Kowal, Rick Kowal here. Mr. Noble, I took the privilege of doing that only because we weren't sure how you were going to come back on.
Yeah, we were switching the server out. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it today.
Unknown. Okay, we got that out of the way. We're looking for a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll make a
Anyone?
motion to approve the agenda.
I have a motion from Andrea Voorhees to approve the agenda. Looking for support.
Support.
I have support from Clerk Anthony Noble. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Kowal,
Here.
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, at this time, public comment. Anyone in the public has 3 minutes to state your case. Seeing none, closing
No
public
callers.
comment. Whoop, is there a caller or no?
No callers.
No callers? Okay, I didn't think there would be, but you just never know. Moving on to item 6, request to change current part-time secretary position to full-time supervisor's office for full-time in the supervisor's office. Before you, you should have documentation that will show you the job description, the wage scale, and all of the information that is involved in this position. Some of you may or may not know there has always been a position for a part-time person in the supervisor's office, and somewhere in the past there was additional 2 full-time positions. I'm not sure when that transitioned. The current workload that we have in the office has gotten a little hectic, and of course now we have a lot of other things that are coming into place, and it would just make life a lot easier and would be very helpful to my office and to my current staff of 1 that we would move forward with this position. It has been a budget for every year that I've put my budget together for a part-time person. So there has been this will be the 4.5 years, let's say, that I've budgeted for it, but have not fulfilled that position. We tried to fill that position with a part-time person within the township and talked to some people of interest, and it just didn't seem to work out. We have deficiencies in other departments, which has kind of locked in some of the people that we were hoping would come our way, and they did not. So at this point, I would like to put this out there. This is a MAPE union position. Wages determined by the collective bargaining agreement. It would be a secretary wage scale. It'll be posted internally before it being posted outside for candidates. And the budget amendment takes into account part-time budget previously approved. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Powell.
I read through the description, job description. Has that been changed at all since the?
It's been updated to current times.
Okay, so this is a new one from the last one.
Well, the old position, I don't even know how long ago that was actually posted in the manner of which it was, or created in the manner of which it was. And obviously there wasn't social media, there just wasn't what's going on today at that time when that job position was created. So it was sent down to HR and also sent over to Trish to take a review and to see what additional duties could be taken on. And that was pretty much how it was contrived.
All right, then I had another couple questions. Number one, is it normally the case, and maybe Mike Roman can help me on this, because I really appreciated him putting the wage scale, having that sent to us. I noticed that the wage scale is one thing, but then the budget amendment is something totally different.
Yep.
And I don't understand why the wage scale doesn't include the total pay.
Because the budget amendment is for 7 months. There's a 7-month, would be a 7-month posting at this time. And there is different postings on that. Elaine put a posting for a full year's cost on one page and then what it would be for the remainder of this year. Liz, you had your hand up real quick?
I did. I thought I'd be helpful here because it didn't match up, Mike. So I also kind of dug into it. And what I found was Elaine put in the budget the assumption of a 2-person benefit, assuming that the person would have a spouse. So there's that discrepancy there. And then the top line is for 7 months and the bottom line is for a full year. Because I looked at it as well, and the numbers, there's a discrepancy and they don't match up. So that's what I found doing a little homework, if that helps at all.
All right, thank you. And then I just have one more comment because we've been talking about this for a while. Is this the appropriate time to have a real person that will probably be a family person and a modern person and want more than 2 days vacation for the first 6 months?
You're probably correct. And depending on the individual that we go with, but I would prefer to really try to do the actions that this board talked about in a previous conversation. I would think we should consider doing that in one sweeping swoop, okay, versus piecemealing it. And this is not necessarily the time. I think we need to get a little more information on that. I'd like to move forward with this. We have multiple projects that I would like to get off the ground. We have just a variety of different things, and it would just make things run a little bit smoother.
If we want to attract a really quality person, though, they won't come if you say they can't go on vacation with their family.
Well, if the board is so inclined, I will accept an addition to this position. I was not going to impose that decision upon the board this evening.
If we don't, then it might make you put it on the agenda for discussion sooner rather than later.
This is true. So I will let the board, Mr. Roman, if you don't mind.
Rick, these are union positions.
Correct.
Does the board have the power to do what Mr. Powell is asking?
It really needs to go back to the union. One moment, Mr. Noble. It really needs to go back. Those things will need to go back to the union. And Mike, since we are going to be opening up our union negotiations, I would sort of prefer to try to have this all kind of wrapped up on it. I certainly appreciate yourself and any of the other board members to share the same consideration. But I think because of where we are at this threshold, I would think we should probably work a little differently. Mr. Noble? Mr. Noble?
I was just gonna speak about Mike's question. Yes, I agree with what you're saying. And I think we are all in moving forward to attract people, absolutely. But to the point, that is a union position. So it wouldn't be like attracting a department head. We're able to offer that to department heads moving forward, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Once we kind of do a salary, which Kathy's doing right now. But when you get into the union negotiations, we can't offer that because unless they're willing to do a letter of understanding and open up that union contract. But department heads such as let's say Sean or Nick or Janine or any of our department heads moving forward, I think that's the common goal that we'd like to reach. And we can do that if it was a non-union position.
Yeah, that was some of the conversation. We can come back to that, Mike, and visit that. I would prefer to address the subject at hand. Mr. Roman?
Yeah, and Mike Powell, I'm glad you brought that up because my newest hire that's going to take one of the front office spots, although they gave 2 weeks notice, they're taking an extra week for themselves, knowing that they're not going to get any vacation when they come on.
Yeah.
So I am in total agreement. And when we renegotiate these next contracts, I'm in total support of giving some vacation that first 6 months. Rick, in regard to Rick's position, I remember when before Rick started, it seemed like we always had 2 bodies in the front office. Their phone is constantly ringing as well. It's very rare that when I call Trish, I can get her to pick up. She's either running around somewhere or she's on the phone. And then when Trish is at lunch and Rick's gone, there's no one to cover that office. When Trish is on vacation, there's no one to cover that office. And so I think it's a great move. I would never tell anyone how to run their department because I don't want anyone telling me how to run mine. But I'm going to make a suggestion to you, Rick, because it's worked very well for my department. Just consider, if the board approves this, to give this new person read-only rights to all of the files that Trish uses. Read-only, that way she can see them, but she can't change them. And that's worked really well for our department. So if someone's gone, someone else can at least see the files. But
Understood. That's
I'm
good.
in total support. You need another body in there.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, and I also know that she will work directly under Trish. So, Mr. Noble.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that too. I often leave quite late, and the last few months I see Trish working very late, piles on her desk, pretty exhausted by the end of the day. I think you're spending you've been offering probably some overtime if I had to guess. I think for mental health, being with your family is important. She's got her children like we all do, but that's going to alleviate a lot of stress on her. Very busy in that office, and often sometimes we go by and she's out to lunch, and so you might be down the hall talking to Lane or one of the other people in the building, and then the office is left empty. So I think it's important that we have somebody in there at all times, whether it's one of us coming in or a citizen, that keeps it in vacation time, such as those things. So I think it's very important that we fill this position.
I appreciate that support, Mr. Noble. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So I just have 2 quick comments. Also, many times the observation has been brought to my attention that the supervisor's office is dark just because Trish is only one person and can't be everywhere at once. So I do think it's really important that we have someone there always available to serve our residents. And then in speaking with staff and Trish, I learned a couple things that quickly could be taken off her plate because we don't know how long this interview process will take. As we've discussed in the past last couple meetings, it's hard to find somebody, and we want to offer an attractive package for the right person. So I don't, we can maybe internally, the clerk and the supervisor's office can talk. Maybe the FORA coordinator can be moved to clerk, and the meeting minutes is something that maybe our deputy clerk can take care of. And those would be really helpful to take from our administrative assistant and delegate out a little bit. And those 2 things right off the bat would give her a breather in the process and in our interview process, if that's possible. So thank you.
To your point, we are in the transition because originally, if you read your MTA, that the FOIAs are out of the clerk's office. Mm-hmm. So my deputy clerk's in the process working with Trish as we're transitioning the records offsite, storing them, and trying to organize those department by department. So we are in that transition to do so. I believe everybody can agree on this, that we are trying, like when Mike had to leave, the treasurer had to leave for Lisa's party, Dawn covered, and we kind of have a team atmosphere within the township that we will cover each other's office and try to lessen the burden. So to your point, excellent idea. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from the board members? Andrew Voorhees.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely in favor of this. We've needed an additional person in the supervisor's office since the previous supervisor's position. Because and life happens, but I'm like everyone else. I don't like seeing a dark building, or I'm sorry, a dark office. So yeah, absolutely. Let's get some support in there.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time? Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the position for full-time position as supervisor's office
And the pay scale accompanied to it.
and adopt the pay scale accompanied as your attachment reflects. So
Thank you. I have a motion looking for support. Mr. Roman? I have support from Mr. Roman. Roll call vote, please.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith.
Yes.
I thank all of you very much for this. Again, I've tried to run as lean as I can, but we are getting very, very, very busy, and I foresee this continuing this way. And there is a lot of other things that we are going to be able to do by having some additional staff. But I certainly agree with every one of you that we need to address some of the issues that we had discussed that I think will make our workplace even a little bit better for all of you. So I'd like to thank all of you very, very much for that. Motion carries. Okay, item 7. At this point in time, I would like to go into closed session. It's authorized by section 15.268 of the Open Meetings Act. Closed session H, to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute, attorney-client communication. That is in the form of a motion. Looking for support.
Support.
I have support from Trustee Smith. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes.
Thank you. And Brian, you will put us off into, whoop, Elisa, I beg your pardon?
For the benefit of the public, if there is any, Brian, how they'll just stay in here and you'll put us in a breakout room?
Yes, they will be able to see a blank slide on YouTube letting them know that you will be in closed session and be returning.
And then if anybody comes back in for when we come out of closed session, you will then allow them back into the room?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Brian, I'll let you do your voodoo.
All right.
Okay, looks like we're all coming back in.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Sir. All right, well, we are now back in open session, and we have had conversation regarding an agreement with River Kettis Development and White Lake Township for a public-private partnership initial scope of work.
This development, and that will include an estimate of development costs, creating sources and uses of funds, as well as identifying funding gaps and possible incentives. So I'm looking forward to moving this forward.
Thank you, Andrew Voorhees.
Nope, sorry, I had muted myself. No, it's a lot of information to intake tonight. Very informative. I'm also in that learning process of learning how to do this. So yeah, thank you. No, I'm in agreements of what everyone else has said tonight. So thank you.
Mr. Noble.
I'd like to thank Sean and Howard for taking the lead along with the Civic Center Development Committee. This has been a long process, and I'd like to concur what the Treasurer Roman and Trustee Powell said in their earlier statements, that I'd like to see this moving in the forward in the right direction.
Thank you. Well, I will tell you that I certainly thank all of my fellow board members, and I thank the CCDC group, Planning Commission, and all the other groups associated with this. You know, this started quite some time ago, and you know, we had, oh, what happened there? We had
Stated the recording stopped.
I know that. We have to find out what happened there. Is he, Brian? Are you out there? Hello, Brian. Sean?
Try to contact him.
No, we don't want to have anything behind closed doors here.
I think we may be broadcasting. It may just not be recording. I'll ask.
So my screen says that we're live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as long as we're live, we're going forward. So that being said, again, thank everyone for all their hard work. The CCDC really did a great job, and all the folks out there, you know, I got to say thank you. I will tell you, they never missed a beat. And as long as this went on, and seeing as we are moving forward and have moved forward in the last 18 months, of which most people would have just done nothing, we continue to find a way to move forward as a board, and I think that's great. So I look forward to our next phase of this particular adventure, and I am seeking a motion at this time. Anyone care? Mr. Noble?
Yes, I'd like to move forward and make a motion to allow the Supervisor Kowal to negotiate on behalf of the Charter Township of White Lake with River Kettis not to exceed $15,000 and or to exceed the 6 month of the life of the contract, which will be in play if this motion passes.
Support.
Really quick, Brian says Zoom has crashed and he's trying to reconnect. So I'm going to ask you guys just to wait, because we may need to restate that motion when we're rolling in public again. So that way we're communicating to the outside world. He's texting me back. Just 1 second.
Mr. Roman?
Anthony, when you make that motion, after you mention authorizing the supervisor to negotiate and execute the contract, can you put the words in as discussed in closed session?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm concerned about
Lisa,
this.
you're muted.
The 6 month term that you mentioned, it is a possibility will extend beyond 6 months. Do you want it to come back to the board if it goes beyond the 6 months, or did you just want to say as discussed?
I would say as discussed.
As discussed. That's fine.
Because we, you know, if we get into that last stage of the dance, I don't want to not get through it. So
Oh, sorry.
and I'm sure everyone else feels the same way. I would hate to get to that point. But I can't put the icing on the cake. Yes, Lisa.
Anthony, your motion was $15,000. It wasn't $15,000 a month.
Or $15,000 a month. We want a month, right? I mean, 15,000 a month.
A month.
Correct.
Yes.
So in case we don't go back live, I amend my support.
Thank you.
So the word I got was, it appears when Zoom crashed, it took down YouTube. So we're not, we're
We
gonna
have a
have to wait.
recording secretary, but we just,
Yeah, but we're
it-
not communicating with the public. And so I think that's maybe the problem. So if we wait, he
Sure.
says, just give him just a minute, because I think it would make sense to come back up again, maybe let Rick explain very briefly what all happened, that, Zoom crashed and it took the YouTube channel down. And so we're going to go and restate, we're going to state the motion kind of a thing. Just so-
That being said, if we're down, I'm going to take a station break. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
okay.
Right
I
back.
think a recess would be in order. I'll stand by with Brian.
Recess is in order, and Sean will let you stand by.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna jump into my other meeting as well, so I'm gonna, the villages, I'm supposed to be in the village meeting as well, so I'm gonna jump into that meeting, so if I don't come right back, you'll know why.
Mike, do you want me to notify you, or are you just going to be monitoring this?
I'll monitor,
Okay.
I got to do them on separate computers, so. thank you.
Okay.
Sean, do you want me to tune out at this point?
No, I mean, I think we can anyone who can stand by and just hang on can certainly do that. I don't really know. This hasn't happened to us before. So I just,
I can hang out and I can text you, Sean, if he comes back or something.
yeah, I mean, if we just leave everybody's Zoom screen up, and I mean, if you want to shut your camera off to take a break, that's fine. And then I'll let everybody know when I hear something.
I think Ben was just trying to give you an out to paying him.
Right, yeah, Ben, you
Oh,
can
yeah,
go.
Ben.
It's
Wow,
Ben,
Jesus.
you can go.
Look at the time. Yeah, Ben, sure. You can have a nice night, I guess.
Okay,
All right.
I don't think you guys need me anymore, so thank
Okay.
you. Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Ben. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
Lisa.
Ben.
I'm not always a master of the obvious.
Hey, Lisa,
Yes, sir.
so it's 15,000 a month. That's what I read, and I probably didn't state that correctly the first time, so.
Well, it sounds like you're just gonna redo the motion anyway, because we don't know what went down. So I think Rick's gonna do like an introduction that says, I don't know where we lost everybody, but Zoom went down, YouTube went down. So
We
just
back
for
up?
this.
No,
No, not
So
yet.
just
Okay.
for this, so just for the sake of the public, this
Yeah.
was the motion that was made. It was seconded by, Ms.
I'm just
Smith.
gonna, yeah, I just want to read it real quick. Make a motion to allow Supervisor Kowal to negotiate on behalf of the Charter Township of White Lake Township with River Cadis not to exceed $15,000 a month as discussed. Good to go?
That's fine.
There's a chance that in all of this, we're all going to have to log back in. He didn't say that, but if YouTube crashed, or I'm sorry, if Zoom crashed, I think there's a chance that we may
It
all.
says Brian Wittes is
Here
the
we go.
host now. That just came back up.
Okay.
Yes, I apologize for that. Had a little technical difficulty, but it looks like we're back online.
Are we currently live, Brian?
Let me wait for YouTube to update here just to verify.
Okay, because we'll just need a minute to make sure everybody reassembles.
Okay.
None of that, Andrea.
Couple days, Lisa, so I agree. Thank you.
And then do we need to let Mike Powell know
Yes,
or not? Okay.
yes. I think-
I'm being asked by the recording secretary, does the motion to come back into close to open session, Anthony, do you keep track of that?
No,
Or does
she
that need to be on
takes-
hers?
No, it'll be on her. I close it right as the motion by Rick and then seconded by Mike Roman. And then
Because
she'll pick
Lisa,
up from there.
okay, so she just documents the time that we came back into open session?
Yeah, and then starts taking minutes at that point.
Okay,
You're taking minutes during this meeting though, right, Anthony?
I'm taking general meetings and minutes, like a summary disposition during the closed session.
You're not taking like detailed notes. It's just who's here, what time
No.
we came into closed
No.
session, the topic.
Generality minutes of what was discussed in basically like a summary disposition, Lisa. Like kind of not as much detail, but what was said in a,
We could talk about that separately.
yeah.
How you doing there, Brian?
Yes, we're all set. We're back live on YouTube.
Oh, welcome back, White Lake Township. We had a technical glitch. We've actually been pretty lucky. We have not experienced too many of those over the last year and a half. And we exited our executive session. We had some conversation and something went boom. So we are back up, and we had a motion on the floor that was made to move an item forward, and I will let Mr. Clerk Anthony Noble restate that motion. Mr. Noble.
Supervisor Kowal, I would like to make a motion to allow Supervisor Kowal to negotiate on behalf of White Lake, Charter Township of White Lake with River Cadis not to exceed the dollar amount of $15,000 a month as prior discussed.
Support.
And to authorize the supervisor to sign the contract.
And authorize the supervisor to sign the contract.
We have motion.
Amend my support.
We have support and amended support from Trustee Smith. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal.
Yes. You asked me twice, but that's okay. I'm double sure. Okay. I'd like to thank all of my board members again for another one of my special meetings. And I certainly appreciate the attention, and I understand you know the importance of these types of matters. Mr. O'Neill, thank you and your staff. Howard, thank you. Ben, you're out there somewhere. Thank you very much. Brian and Hannah, I certainly appreciate all of it. And our attorney, Lisa Hamami. So with that, I say good night. God bless. Make a motion to adjourn. Looking for support.
Support.
I support from Trustee Smith. Roll call vote, Mr. Noble.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Great job, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
night.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good night. Thanks, Brian.